And welcome to Chasing the Championship post-game coverage. Ohio State and TCU just finishing it up down in Greensville, South Carolina. Dom Tiberi joined by former Ohio State basketball player, the one and only George Reese. He was on the 1999 Final Four team. And George, not the way we had hoped it would go, as TCU beats Ohio State 66-64. It was certainly a tale of two halves. In the first half, Ohio State couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and TCU made 54% of their threes, and they led by 15 points. But the Buckeyes, give them credit, they came back, but in the end could not close the deal.
You got to give hats off to TCU for getting the W today. I think Ohio State was just caught off guard with their defensive pressure in the first half, but they were able to come back and make those adjustments in the second half. So hats off to Coach Diebler, Bruce Thornton. Junie Mobley definitely got them back in the game when they needed it, and Devin Royal and Amari Bynum definitely stepped up with their double-doubles in the second half.
Yeah, looking at the final stats, we just got them. Bruce Thornton, 10 points in his final game as a Buckeye. You mentioned John Mobley. He led Ohio State with 15 points. The freshman, Amari Bynum, came in with 12 points, played big. But, and Devin Royal had 14 points, so he played big. It just, you mentioned it. It was the defense. And, I know that David Punch, their star player, had talked that they would out-physical Ohio State. They really did in the first half, and they gutted it out down the stretch, no question about it. A couple other things that jump out. Ohio State just was not good at the three-point bar today, 6 of 23. But you look at TCU, 9 of 23, but they made most of them in the first half, and they jumped out to a 15-point lead.
I mean, not to be the dead horse, tale of two halves. If you look at Ohio State got to the line, 9 times in the second half, where in the first half there was only 2. So the aggressiveness picked up in the second half of the Buckeyes. And in a game like this, it always comes down to possession. I think a couple of our guys were out of position on those and ones late in the game right there, and those are the things that you're going to be dreading watching the film, from months from now as they try to prepare for next season.
And as I look at rebounds, they said they would out-rebound Ohio State, and they did. 38 they had, and Ohio State had 32, so they did a little better job on the boards. I'm looking at turnovers. Ohio State had 7 turnovers. They had 7 too. Ohio State had turned it more over in the first half, and that was the big reason for the 15-point. It just I didn't think it would go this way, and you didn't either. We watched the game together, and you hate seeing this season end this way for a guy like Bruce Thornton. Now, what we're going to do here, folks, we're going to continue to break the game down. We are waiting for the folks to go to the podium. We will carry the Jake Diebler and the Ohio State post game and hear what they have to say. I'm sure, I don't know, what are the guys feeling? They seem so up. They seem so ready. And, their first time in the NCAA tournament in 4 years, and to end this way. And you hate to see it, like I'll say it again, you hate to see it end this way for a guy like Bruce Thornton, just a great kid.
I think that first half film probably will haunt them for a long time. I think they're just now realizing that it is over, but, they definitely gave a valiant effort in that second half, but too little too late.
We talked before in our pregame show, we talked about how Ohio State had to shoot well. Well, they did not shoot well in the first half, and sometimes that happens. We've seen that with this club.
I mean, if you see a team, out of Texas, they're going to play an aggressive style of basketball. And if you can't get them up off you, right, that's how we call it in the game. You can't get them up off you and knock down shots, they're going to keep that pressure up the whole game. And those field goal percentages are going to look the way they look now, being 6 of 23. We're a team that we need to get buckets to win.
What do you think right now that Jake Diebler is saying to his guys? And obviously, the one thing you're going to lose Bruce Thornton, but I was really impressed with Amari Bynum, and he will be back next year.
Yeah, Amari's going to be that guy. I think combined with Junie next year, I think those guys are going to be our pillars coming into next season. And you know how the game is now, Dom, right? They got to get out. They got to recruit. We got a McDonald's All-American coming in next year with Big Fella. I think Coach Diebler probably right now can't wait to get in front of that film to kind of look at those last 2 minutes. Remember I told you write down that at the 2-minute mark, that was one of their best defensive possessions that they had all game. And then we got something going in transition and got to go to the free throw line, but unfortunately out of position, gave up an and one, and, they couldn't get it done.
Well, Bruce Thornton made 2 big free throws to give Ohio State that 59-58 lead, but then Punch took over.
Yeah.
And then, and it was back and forth, and it was the 2 big players. Punch played big down the stretch. Yeah. Bruce made that big 3 to tie the game at 64, but then TCU comes back. Xavier Edmonds, we talked about him prior, and he got that bucket in the paint to go down and, gave him the 66-64 lead. What about the way the game ended? The way Ohio State had, 4.3 seconds to go? What did you? I know I've already seen it. People are talking about the way that came together. Mm-hmm. What did you see there?
I think they executed it. Like I said, I don't know how they drew it up, but just try to get Bruce some momentum going downhill, and he just didn't get it going. And I think he looked up to the clock and was like, "Oh man, I got to launch this long one." Probably a better play for some, guys like Scooney or Mike Conley, where they're jets and they can get up full court a little faster. But like I said, he didn't get a quality shot off, and it's going to come down to a possession type of game, and that's what we saw.
Well, and, they call it March Madness for a reason. And we're going to be heading to South Carolina down in Greenville right now, and we're going to check in with our Nicole Shearin and Adam King. And, guys, I can only imagine how painful it was to watch there to see this season end. George and I we don't have any nails left, and to see this team come storming back in the second half, and in this way, you feel terrible, though, for a guy like Bruce Thornton.
It's tough because in the end, they showed exactly why they were the team so many thought that could go on a deep run in March. That second half, they absolutely dominated the game. In the end, you can't spot a team in the tournament 15 points. That's what it all came down to. We talk so much about that word fight. That's what this team cares about. They fought hard to come back, but they came up 1 shot short. I always reference what the football team says in Leave No Doubt.
Yep.
In March, you have to leave no doubt, because otherwise you leave it up to things like a half-court heave. And when you do that, you got 1% chance of it going in.
I mean, coming out of the locker room, 2 completely different teams that we saw. Luke Simon, one of the assistant coaches, was fired up. He kept yelling fight. That's a word that they have preached on all season long. It's crazy how the stats completely flipped. TCU shooting basically 50% from 3 in the first half. Ohio State couldn't sink a basket. And then second half, totally different story. It was the Buckeyes we've seen all season long. Their defense was lights out, really rattled the Horned Frogs' cage. And then Bruce Thornton, of course, makes that 3 to tie it. Puts the world on notice, but it's just too little, too late. They played from behind the entire game, and they ran out of time.
Dom, I think it's really interesting. The 2 plays that stand out to me are the Christoph Tilley when he took the ball at the top of the key and drove the lane. I have watched every Buckeye game this season, as so many fans have, and you and I, we've never seen that.
Yeah.
Hey, we're good. Thank you very much. We're good over here. Have a good day. Thank you. Don't need that right now. We're going to lose a lot of viewers if he kept standing there. When you see Tilley take the ball down low, that is what Jake Diebler has wanted him to do all year. He screams shoot all the time when it comes to Tilley. He wants him to be a scorer. We saw him assert himself in the second half there. They needed it in the first half. It's as simple as that. Sometimes you can break down a game and it can come down to different things, but in reality, it was an Ohio State team that came out flat as ever, and it didn't work out for them in the end.
Well, and with Tilley, he didn't just shoot it. He totally bullied it down low.
You know what? If we're going to put one mascot
we got to have Brutus.
We're going to make sure
there
the other
you
one.
Go.
There you go. All right.
Brighten up the spirits,
All right,
Brutus.
there you go, Brutus. All right.
No, but you're right, Adam. I mean, I remember looking at you and being like, that's the Tilley we want to see. He totally bullied everyone down low. He's not only just shooting, he's taking over down there, and that really was a difference maker. Sorry, we're waiting to go into the locker room, but that really was a difference maker down the stretch. I just wish we saw more of that throughout the entire game.
Yeah, Dom, you say it was painful to watch. I think for Buckeye fans, it was amazing to watch them fight back.
Yeah.
But all that matters is who wins in the end, and that is March.
Yeah, the painful part is that it ends this way for Bruce Thornton, a guy that, his whole dream was to get to the NCAA tournament, and I'm just. I know it's sinking in now for him, George. I mean, what's he feeling? This guy, all he's known the last 4 years is Ohio State, and now his career is over, and this is not the way he wanted it to end.
I mean, he's definitely been mature, like great kid. Like I said, I've had the opportunity to have him come out, and he's getting involved in the community in Columbus, Ohio, too. But having, like I said, the tournament cut short for Bruce, I know he's hanging his head right now, but at the end of the day, he has nothing to be ashamed for all the blood, sweat, and tears that he gave in that uniform.
We want to go back now to our Nicole and Adam. Adam, you guys talk about Tilly. We saw a couple times where, when George and I were watching, take it to the hoop, big man, take it in, and he passed it off, and it would be a turnover. Yeah, the aggressiveness. If you're 7 feet tall, be aggressive, right?
Well, it'd be aggressive, and especially when you're going up against a guy like Punch. I will say, down the stretch, it was clear that they just weren't going to win that battle down low. I watched Amari Bynum and obviously Tilly kind of team up there down, and Amari just shook his head after because they tried. It seemed either they were scored on or they got the foul drawn, and either way, that doesn't bode well for the Buckeyes. But then on the other side, that's why it was so shocking to see him take the ball from the top of the key and dunk it, because that's what they want. I will say, I look back at the Amari Bynum dunk, and I think, boy, if you would have given me a million chances to guess who would win that game, I would say Ohio State in that moment. They had all the momentum. They had everything going for them. It's beyond surprising that they allowed TCU to kind of go down and get their and one, and March tends to favor momentum. So when I saw that happen, I thought that there you go. But the Horned Frogs, credit to them, they bounced back. David Punch, he talked his talk. He told Adam Jardy they were going to win 9 times out of 10, and he was the one that backed it up down the stretch there. I don't know, maybe if they played it 8 more times, we'd get a chance to see.
Yeah. I think what's also so frustrating is, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Dom. I was just going to say, I think what's so frustrating is that the tale of two halves, if that first half was the Buckeye team that showed up to start this game, the outcome is a completely different story. It's not a question of could have Ohio State beaten TCU. Yes, I do. I think they are the better team, but they showed up too late, and that's how basketball goes. Like you said, that's March.
Certainly in March.
And at the end of the day, it's a loss by 2 points, and that's the outcome of this one.
And, guys, we have seen this before, and, sometimes the shots go, sometimes they don't, and for whatever reason, it was an off-night shooting.
It was. It started with an off-night shooting for Bruce Thornton. I mean, it's something we've never seen with this team. And I was thinking in my head how the storyline at the end of this game could be that Ohio State carried Bruce Thornton to a tournament win, which would be unbelievable. I mean, I looked up and everyone was in double figures, and Bruce had 5 points. Now, he in the end hits the remarkable shot to even give him a chance down the stretch. But yeah, shots weren't falling. It was as simple as that for the Buckeyes. Even in the start of the second half, Ohio State could have taken a big chunk out of that TCU lead quicker, but the Buckeyes couldn't really get their own shots to fall.
No, they absolutely couldn't, and I think that is what is most shocking about all this, is that you're kind of sitting there like, where's Bruce? We're waiting for Bruce Thornton to have his Bruce Thornton moment, and he finally had it, tying up the game, but of course, it's just too little too late by that point. But I do want to give Mobley a lot of credit because he kept shooting. That's what you have to do in basketball. Your shots aren't going to fall. You can't get discouraged. You just have to keep shooting. Eventually, those buckets will fall, and that's what happened with him down the stretch.
Dom, we're sitting here, and we're waiting on the Ohio State locker room to open, and I'm so intrigued as to what that conversation is like in there, because we can talk over and over again about what is the expectations of the Ohio State basketball program. They found a way to get in the tournament when everything else seemed bleak. And not only that, they found a way to fight back when everything seemed, they were down 15 with no momentum whatsoever. For Jake Diebler, this is a massive building point. But for Bruce Thornton and this squad, they, as a unit, will never play a game again, and that's got to sting. And that's got to be what the conversation is right now, as you see TCU walking to the podium first ahead of Ohio State.
So TCU will go first, and are we going to carry TCU? We can or can't?
I don't know that anybody wants to hear from TCU, but
I'll just say.
When they open the Ohio State locker room, though, you guys will be able to go in, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
We will be in there talking to players, and that's what we'll be carrying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will carry that. Yes. Jake Diebler. What did he seem like? I saw TV. What was his reaction? And there were a couple times I saw him pretty fired up, I thought.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what Jake Diebler said to these guys at halftime, because a completely different team showed up out of that locker room. Again, it was too little too late, but something completely changed with this group. After the game, of course, you're upset, you're feeling the emotions. He did wait around and wait for Bruce to walk down the handshake line. They walked out together through the tunnel together. I mean, we've talked about their relationship. Jake Diebler calls Bruce family. He calls all these guys family, but that connection between those two is really special, and you see it after every game, but this one, of course, hits very different for those two.
You know, there are a lot of people that are going to say things about Jake Diebler, and I think you can look at this game, and in the biggest coaching moment of his career, he took his team. You walk to the locker room down 15 in March Madness, it's hard to find a way to rally a team. They couldn't hit shots. They couldn't stop TCU on offense. It's hard to find a way to say, let's go out there and play the second half. We are going to head in the locker room now. So, Dom, we'll send it back to you while we walk in there. You and George can talk for a minute, and then once we get to the players, we'll bring that to you.
All right, great stuff. Yeah, I want to follow up on that with Jake Diebler. Obviously, this is not the way he wanted it to go.
Right.
Didn't want to be down by 15 at the break. What kind of adjustments did they make in the second half that you saw? And my question is this, because we knew going into this game that TCU prided itself on playing defense and being physical. Do you think any of what they did, because it's one thing to practice it for it.
Right.
It's another thing to see it. And do you think that might have surprised Ohio State a little bit with how aggressive they were? They were right in your face.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about practice. I mean, you talk about game film. You can watch game film all season about how TCU is so aggressive and they play great defense. But until you get to see that elbow, till you get pushed under the basket, you're never going to know how intense it is until you step on the floor. So hats off to them, because that first 20 minutes, it caught them off guard. Second half, they played better defense. You see TCU went 2 for 10 in the second half, and they didn't shoot it well from the field either, 9 of 28 in the second half. So it was almost like the aggressor switched when Ohio State picked it up, and they got caught off guard, but then they responded great in the second half.
And the other thing, too, give TCU credit, because you and I both talked. They're not traditionally a three-point shooting team.
Man.
And they were shooting them, and they made 54% in the first half, and you know, they got on a roll and made like a bunch of, and you even said, I'm not going to say anything anymore, because every time you said something, they made another three.
Michael Robinson, I mean, that's what March Madness is, right? These guys are in the gym. They've probably been hearing it all season that we can't shoot. We're not a good shooting team. Michael Robinson came in and got it started 4 for 6 from the three-point line. You can tell when he hit a couple, he was turning around and looking at Ohio State's bench, because I'm sure they were on the bench like, oh, that's off. But, hey, they show improved today, shot 9 of 23 for the total game. But first half is what really got Ohio State on their heels.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that first half, because that really dug Ohio State into a hole. Mentally, it had to weigh on them like, what in the heck is going on? This is, you know, you prepare for it, but then you actually see it.
Man.
And that was I was really impressed with their tenacious defense. And then on offense, I was really, impressed with their ball movement. They moved the ball, and then they got the threes going.
Yeah, I think second half you started seeing Junie get going. Like, Junie doesn't care, and I admire that about him. 3 from 11 from three-point line, but he got it going in the second half. And then Devin and Amari, I think their activity on the glass, the putbacks, the finishes, the highlight reel dunks, as you've seen from Amari, it's all about activity and aggressiveness, and they switched that in the second half. And then now they got to go back and look at that film. And like I said, it's going to haunt them for months now. As you can see, some possessions in the second half that if they had it back, Ohio State would probably be the victorious team at the table.
And, you know, you don't think about it, but it's like you only get so many chances.
Yeah. You don't get it back, Don.
And you don't get it back,
Yeah.
and that will bite you.
Yeah, like I said, it's haunting. And then for me, I'm a film guy. I would sit there and rewind a play over and over and over, because that's what it comes down to in this game. I think, like I said, small things, position, staying on your feet. When a guy's, getting that putback.
I must have heard you say that.
Man, stay on your feet.
Stay on your feet.
Wall up. But like I said, you don't get those chances back, and that's what you practice for, right? Those fundamentals. And I know Coach Diebler and their staff are just probably like, hey, we've been saying this all year, but executing in the game is what really matters. And like I said, hats off to TCU for getting it done.
Fundamentals. That so much of what that comes down to it. And you look at it, who rebounded better, who took care of the ball better. And there you go. I mean, and I see that our guys are in the locker room. I see some of the players hugging each other. I think we can show a little bit of that video. As a matter of fact, I think Adam is now getting with a player. Let's go to Adam.
To end your career.
And here we go. Let's take a listen.
Going through your mind there? down the stretch of the game. You guys fought all the way back. That's what you lean on, is that word fight. You came all the way back. What's going through your mind in those final few minutes?
We're trying to win the game. We're just trying to win the game, man. The first half was just hard coming from a deficit, 15 points against a good team like that around this time. Put us in the hole, but we fought. I told this team going to fight regardless. But it didn't go our way. That's all right, man. Life, sometimes stuff don't go your way. But I'm just appreciating the teammates and coaching staff and Buckeye Nation just sticking with me for 4 years. And I'm so appreciative for everything that happened in my life, man. It's not the way I want to end it, but that's just how it is sometimes.
You've always talked about wanting to go dancing. You talked about the music and the moment you walked on the court. You did that out there. How special was it to you? Obviously, this isn't where you wanted to be, but you end your Buckeye career after dancing.
It's something I can tell my kids and my grandkids in the future. I'm just excited I experienced it with guys that wanted to be here. I'm just glad I can put Ohio State back on the map. Let's continue making the tournament. Guys like Amari and Junie, whoever the future guys is, would you keep this tradition and us keep coming to the tournament? Now I'm making a deep run now.
What was the message in the locker room there at halftime when you're down 15?
Just to fight. Just do or die at that moment. It was 20 minutes and we just fought the whole time. TCU is a great team, but it's just hard to just battle back from that much of a deficit around this time of the year.
Bruce, can you take us through that last minute? You get the three, they score, you get the last look at the buzzer. What can you take us through each of those plays?
Man, we just needed a three during that time. And after that, you're really trying to just get stops. But we just didn't get the stop that we needed. And it was hard with the time, with the full court shot, 4 seconds left. So it's just hard. But like I said, the deficit at halftime really put us in the hole. So especially as a good team, it's just hard.
What were you trying to get on that last shot? Was that the look you wanted?
It's not the look I wanted, but they cupped the ball. They did a good job cupping the ball. But it's just hard to get 3 dribbles on the other side of the court when somebody just guarding you full court.
What did it feel like when that doesn't fall, that buzzer sounds?
It hits the heart home. I feel like I did a lot for this program. The program did a lot for me. The memories, the relationships, done a lot. Mostly me crying because you just don't get to share the locker room with the guys you've been working on since June. So I just told the guys that I'm just one call away. If you need anything from me, just call me. I'll be here. I'm always with Buckeye for life. So.
What was that conversation like with Coach Tiberi? We saw him emotional as he kind of left the locker room.
Man, he's been recruiting me since I'm 16. I'm 22 right now, so it's been a long 6 years. But the belief he had in me, the belief in me put this program back where it should be, and we did that. But the more steps now, and I feel like he know that, and the team in the future know that as well. So it's not the last time you'll see the Ohio State here.
We typically see you kind of take over games. You were struggling a little bit in the first half. What was it like to have your teammates step up in that moment, and what were you thinking at the locker room when you only had 5 points?
That's the whole point of having teammates to help you out. And those guys helped me out a lot. They're putting 2 on the ball. I'm not limiting my catches, but I knew if I wasn't scoring, I got to get stops and I got to get rebounds, and I did that. And we put ourselves in a position where we came back and we lost the lead and we just battled and fought, but it just didn't go our way tonight.
Bruce, what's next for you? You're going to hang around the program still and hang out with these guys and root them on next year?
Of course. Like I said, I'm a Buckeye for life, but it's time to go to get my dreams and aspirations and go to the league. So,
appreciate it, Bruce.
All right, we're going to go over this way. We're going to try to get to Devin Royal now.
Now, the Pickerton Central is actually in the Final Four. Again, any word of encouragement you might give to your former Tigers?
they know what they do, man. Be dogs out there, man. They know.
Yeah, well, thanks for your leadership. Outstanding season this year. Best of luck next year.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Devin, this team always talks about fight. It's a word you guys have leaned on all season long. You overcome a 15-point deficit, and you're right there in the second half. What was it about the second half, and talk about the fight that you guys showed out there?
I feel like I said before, I feel like our coach came in here, he got on us. He yelled at us. And then I feel like after that, our player-to-player communication was a lot better. Guys woke up, played their game, do what they're supposed to do on the court.
What was said by Coach at half, and maybe what was said by Bruce and you and some of the leaders on this team?
Divas came in and said he wants his team back. Like, that's not how we play. It's not Ohio State basketball. you know, and knowing Deeb, like, when he started yelling, he mad. Like, he started turning red. So, like, we understood his feeling, and we mad, too, because that's not how we play. So after that, we went in our huddles. You know, I gave good talk. You know, Bruce gave good talk. We just got on each other's butt more, you know, to get each other going.
I know it stings a lot right now, but you just got to fulfill a lifelong dream, dancing on the biggest stage in college basketball with a guy like Bruce Thornton, one of your best buddies. How does that feel, knowing that you got to do that?
It feels great, man. It feels great to have these seniors, you know, get to March Madness, man. I'm still mad because we lost, you know, but, you know, there's a lot of things we did to get here, so I'm just blessed and proud to be here. But I know God got a plan for all of us in here, so I feel like tomorrow we just got to keep our head high and keep going.
When we walked in here, of course, a lot of emotions, you guys hugging each other, there were tears. What did you say to a guy like Bruce who just played his final game in the Scarlet and Gray?
Just say I love him, man, and, you know, we always dogs, you know, off the court, on the court. You know, we still brothers.
And Devin, how, obviously you're going to live the emotions right now, but this is just the start for what this Buckeye team is capable of. How do you carry on after this?
I feel like, you know, just take stuff from this game to get better on, and tomorrow, you know, move on to the next day and get better individually. You know, each one of us get better individually, and just become better. I feel like once you become better individually, the team just builds up every time. So, like, we just got to lock in with each other, keep working.
Bruce was struggling a little bit in the first half, but he said that's the point of teammates. You lean on each other. How did you see that happen in real time in that second half coming out of the locker room?
I mean, I feel like, you know, a lot of guys' shots wasn't falling, you know, but you just got to stick to it, on to the next shot. You can't let it get in your head. You know, he's an old guy, so he knows that, you know, miss shot, move on. Like, you can't just keep harping on the shots you missed or a turnover or, you know, bad defense. You guys got to keep moving on.
And last one for you, Devin. What did Coach Diebler say to you guys in the locker room after this one? Obviously, it's tough and it hurts.
Halftime, you said?
After this one.
You know, just told us, like, we had an opportunity halfway through the season, and my fault. He said, I just blanked, my fault. He really just said, like, you know, us as a team, he loves us. You know, we had an opportunity, and we got the opportunity to be here, and we worked hard these last couple games to get here, and we just been a different team these last couple months, and he just appreciates us from working hard, you know. But, you know, everybody a little so upset about the loss, so for sure.
Thanks, Devin. I appreciate it.
All right, we're going to go over here and talk to Amari Bynum. He was quite the star here for Ohio State today. Obviously didn't go the way he had hoped, but he had the dunk that really gave the Buckeyes their biggest momentum of the day, so we're going to jump in here. Amari, can I grab you real quick? Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry. All right, we'll jump in with John Mobley Jr. here. They're taking – okay, the Buckeyes have to go to the podium, so, Dom, why don't we send it back to you right now as Ohio State goes to the podium, and then we'll come back in just a minute.
All right, great stuff. We'll also take the podium when Coach Jake Diebler and the players get in there. You know, you talk about Bruce and the way he only had 10 points, but you look at the stats, he was 3 of 9. He only took 9 shots the entire game. Give a credit to TCU. They played, tough defense on him.
Yeah, you talk about game film. I think the word got out too with the way Michigan, in their last Big Ten tournament game, the way Luxembourg, and they put taller, more athletic guys on Bruce because he is physical, and you saw it give him little problems. Now he loves to get into the middle of the lane with that nice little pull-up or that floater in the middle of the lane, and it's tough to do that over, a 6'8", 6'9" guy. So I think early on he was kind of, second-guessing and things of that nature, and I think as the game wears on, next thing you know, he's only taking 9 shots. A guy like Bruce Thornton has to get at least, 15 to 17 shots a game, and that's how he gets to the line a little bit more. As you see, he only shot 2 of 5 from the free throw line, but his game and his pace has been his pace. Like, right, he knows how to get buckets, all-time leading scorer in, OSU history. But today, sometimes you got to be a little bit more aggressive and a little, and take those shots. But I think he was just, I don't want to say second guessing, but like I said, TCU played better defense to keep him out of the middle of the paint. Yeah,
he took 9 shots, and then you look at a guy like Junie who had 17 shots.
Yeah.
Ended up 6 of 17. He made some big threes in the second half, and Bruce made a huge three down the stretch that tied the game up. I mean, he made a big shot, but you got to give credit to TCU. That defense, I will say it again, I think it surprised Ohio State when you see it in person because it impressed me. They were non-relenting, weren't they?
I mean, Don, we talk about the big wins that they had this year, right? Florida, Iowa State, Texas Tech. I don't think you beat those brand, or what they call it, the quad teams like that without playing great defense. We did not expect them to shoot the way they shot from the field today in three-point line. So if you're playing great defense all year and then now you're knocking down, 9 threes, you're going to be a tough team to beat. And I would not be surprised if they continue this. They're going to be a bracket buster, if you will, as the tournament goes on.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Ohio State is now in the media center. Coach Jake Diebler, a couple players. We're going to take that video and let you listen to the post-game news conference. Let's take it.
Say what a blessing it is to coach this group of guys. When we started out in June, we talked about being a family, and we talked about just pouring everything we had into working extremely hard, and this group did that. And, we've been a resilient group all season. We showed that today. That was a fun, 20 minutes of basketball we played there in the second half. These two guys, were so important for us, as were so many other guys along the way, but if you knew half of what this team went through to get to this point, you would get to see, why I just believe so much in the character of this team and the character of these individuals. These are great young men in that locker room, really good basketball players certainly, but great young men, and it was a true joy to coach them this season.
Questions for student athletes? Here on the right.
Greg Wilson, Buckeye Sports Bulletin. For either of you guys, it's your first taste of March Madness. I know you wanted to be playing more and playing Saturday, but I guess the way this went and the way this felt, is this a little more motivation to be getting back here next year?
Yeah, it's definitely fuel. Definitely fuel to the fire, and it's going to be motivation for me every day, for the summer, coming up, and the work I'm ready to put in, to make sure we get back in this position and go farther next time.
Yeah, like what he said, just definitely having motivation now, just getting back here. Ohio State just has a great, repertoire of just coming here, so we just want to keep building that. Me and Junie, we just going, when the guys come in, we going to have that and ready to go for the summer.
Back right.
John, what was it in the second half that really got you going to help spark the comeback? What was it that you did as well as Yomar?
I just feel like, I'm not going home like that. I'm not gonna go out. I'm not going home without putting on my all to it. So, had a talk, at halftime. I just gotta do better. I did a little sluggish in the first half. Can't do that. That's put us in a drought in the first place. But second half, just doing everything I can, to bring the team back and just give us a better chance of winning.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Me. I was just saying, just putting it all for the floor for, all the seniors and just for the team, just trying to make winning plays and then just putting it all on the floor.
We got a question online for Andy, only for student athletes right now, Andy.
Yeah, for Amari, just what was the experience of your first NCAA tournament like? Obviously, you didn't get to finish it the way you wanted, but what was this experience like for you as a freshman, and how do you think you can build on it going into next year?
Yeah, it was a great experience. Every kid dreams of being here, so definitely just gonna work way hard in the summer to get back here and just keep working on my game and just do what the coach says and just keep working.
Any other questions for student athletes down here on the right?
John, I guess in the second half, that big run, Amari was a big part of that on both sides of the floor. Can you just talk about what it takes or what it means for him as a freshman to be able to do that?
You don't see too many freshmen doing what he's doing at a high level. He just puts his all out there every night, and he always got a big smile while he's doing it. So, just having that joy he has in that fight and that aggressiveness, that's hard to teach.
One more for student athletes.
For either of you guys, that's Bruce's last game in Ohio State. Can you just talk about what he meant to you guys as a teammate at Ohio State?
He meant everything, especially to me. Me coming in as a freshman in the dorms, he took care of us, me and Colin. He had snacks in the pantry when we got there. I mean, he was driving us to practice. I need to go work out. He would drive me to the gym just to get some shots. I mean, it's a great guy to have, and he was a great guy for this program. It really showed what loyalty meant.
Yeah, he meant a lot to me, just being my roommate, just talk to him a lot, just ask him a lot of questions. And then I asked him a lot of questions about just how to be a leader. So he just told me just show him more and then just talk him more and then just show me on the court how to really work. I worked out with him a couple times in the summer and he showed me how to really work, and I'm going to put that work in the summer.
Congratulations on a great season, guys. We'll dismiss you now. Turn it over to questions for Coach up front.
Greg Wilson, Buckeye Sports Bulletin. Jake, some issues on the offensive side. There's a lot of defensive pressure from TCU today. Can you talk about what was giving you guys trouble and then what you changed at halftime to go on that run?
Yeah, I think, listen, we anticipated seeing that, and we didn't execute well enough against it in the first half. We moved some pieces around from a spacing standpoint in the second half, but ultimately it was kind of doing what we had prepared to do better. That was the biggest thing for us. We needed to make quicker decisions when they committed to the ball, and then when we got the ball out of that, we needed to make quicker decisions and cut more. And I thought you saw that as the second half started and progressed.
Questions? Back right.
Ron Pitts, Urban Media Today. Coach, what is something that you guys learned this year that you want the nation to know about Ohio State? I believe they learned a lot about you guys, especially in that second half. But what is one thing that you want them to take away and learn from about your group that you have?
I hope people saw and appreciate the toughness and family, atmosphere we have in this program. That's what this program was built upon, being tough and being connected. And it's a big reason why we got to this point of the season. It's a big reason why we played the way we played in the second half. And so, that's what I hope people saw. Again, we had great young men in that locker room, and they were a real joy to coach. We enjoyed going to practice, working extremely hard every single day this season. And as a coach, that's really powerful and impactful from our team. And so I'm grateful for that.
Back right again.
One more. Without going into specifics, I know what goes on in that locker room stays in that locker room. But what are some things that you can pour into those young men that's going to help propel them, whether they come back next year or just something they can take into life, into their next?
Yeah, well, growth is one of the foundational pillars of our program. And, I can leave that locker room today saying each and every single young man in our program grew as a man and as a player. That's important to me. We took a step forward as a program this year, and our guys need to remember that. And this is a step, and we got to get ready to get to the next step. So I got into coaching because some of the most influential people in my life were coaches. And I know I'm relatively new to this, but I'm old school from the standpoint where I still think coaches can have an impact in the lives of young men, and you have a responsibility to help them grow as men. Certainly you have a responsibility to help them grow as players. We saw that from everybody in our program got better as players this year. I believe in development. But I know leaving that locker room today that every single young man in this program grew as a man, and that's really important to me and our staff. Thank you.
Got a question on Zoom. Andy, go ahead.
There we go. I'm good. Yeah, Jake, wanted to get your thoughts on the final play there with Bruce. Did you get the look you wanted? What was drawn up? What was kind of the idea there?
Yeah, we got the ball to Bruce on the run, and we had two outlets down the floor for a throw ahead. I was watching him with the ball, so it was hard to see if those guys were open or not. I thought TCU corralled the ball well, and maybe that limited his ability to get the ball down the floor. But we were trying to get it to him on the run and give him freedom to make a decision, and had a couple outlets again down the floor to, if he felt like he could get it to them, we wanted to get it to them to either get a look or, if we could get up there quick enough, we use a timeout to set up in the half court.
Any more questions in the room? Congratulations on a great season. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it, the comments from Coach Diebler. Obviously, I don't know. What do you think? The one thing I'll say is these are some good kids on this team. And, I could tell you liked what you heard. These are good kids.
Coach Speedy Claxton, he talked about how he doesn't even keep contact with some of his high school teammates and not even some of his professional teammates. But he said his college teammates, they still are in touch 30 years later. So these are going to be guys that you talk about how firm thy friendship with the Ohio State motto. These guys are going to be friends for the likelihood of the rest of their lives, and this is what you want to do. You want to go to war, and it's all great kids, and I'm glad they got the chance to do it together.
I go back to what I said in the very beginning. I hate seeing it this end way for Bruce Thornton. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and you know what? He was a man in there, and he congratulated them, but it's hard to see it in this way for him.
Definitely hard to see. Like I spoke to, involved in the community, coming out to nonprofit events and things like that. So great kid. You love to see his career come to the better end as far as him getting a chance to advance in the second round. His demeanor has always been consistent. He's always smiling. Even when he had those braces on his teeth, man, he was always smiling. And you love kids that come to Ohio State, get immersed in the local culture and everything, and then have a stellar career. So hats off to Bruce Thornton and those guys.
It's hard right now to think to next year, but they've got a good nucleus coming back.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Junie. Devin Royal.
Yeah.
And no offense, they got some pretty good players coming in. Junie.
You got a big fella, McDonald's All-American.
Yeah.
I think we'll get a chance to see him on ESPN coming up soon. But I think the pillar you saw on that podium right there with Junie and Amari, and like I said, and Devin being two local guys, right, from Columbus, to have a chance to kind of take this program to the next heights. And it's always how it is, right? Coach Diebel always talk about having that connection to the alumni and having a connection in the city. So you got two guys from Columbus that have opportunity to take this team and take it to new heights next year.
The thing is, now they did it. They got there. Now the expectations to get back there next year and go a little further.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it now. Amari Bynum, he's going to be on scout reports next year as, athletic forward that can do everything. So he's going to make improvements. He get that shot together, he's going to be a problem next year. Junie's going to learn and be one of the experienced captains coming in next year, and not to take two halves off, but I love it, man. They definitely got a foundation to improve next year.
I said it in the beginning. We're going to get the band back together. Now I'm bummed because I've had so much fun with you.
Man,
did you have fun? I mean, it's been a while since we've been here.
I miss
4 years and we're back together.
He'll tell you. I've been texting you all the time. Like, man, what we going to do? We getting back in the booth.
We got to get them in a tournament. They got here and now it's ending too soon.
I know. It always is too soon, man. The March Madness is crazy when you're in it. And then after it fades, it's almost like a sugar rush, right? Like you're loving it while it's going on, and then afterwards you feel down when your favorite team is not in it. So.
I know you follow the ladies too. Now they,
man.
The men are done. The ladies, they're hosting. They're a 3 seed, and they're hosting Howard on Saturday.
The Cambridge show.
And then they got to beat Notre Dame when they get by Howard. What do you think?
I can't wait to see that guard matchup. I mean, I'm not looking ahead of Howard, but
no, Howard, you got to beat Howard first,
right? But I love to see that little matchup. What I think is I forget her name. Is Hidalgo? Am I saying it right? For the guard from Notre Dame and Cambridge, that's going to probably be two of the more explosive guards in all of women's basketball.
Nothing like March Madness, and here we are. The Buckeyes chase for the championship, unfortunately, ends today in South Carolina, and so the Buckeyes will be coming home. George Reese, you're my buddy. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
We want to thank our buddy Brandon Beam for being on the pregame show. And then, of course, Adam King and Nicole Shearin down in and Grant. We got to give love to Grant, the photographer, because he's the workhorse of that group. I mean, that dude.
Behind the scenes with it.
So, but that's going to do it. Keep it on 10 TV. Coming up, we will have more reports from down in South Carolina, Greenville, with Adam and Nicole. We'll recap the game, and then, of course, we'll be with the Buckeye women starting tomorrow. They're going to be having their open practice tomorrow, meet with the media and everything, and then they play it's an early game, 11:30 in the morning.
Oof, on breakfast.
Yeah. Breakfast with the Buckeyes and the Howard. Anyways, that's going to do it. He is George Reese. I'm Dom Tiberi. Thanks for watching, and remember, tell your friends, download that 10TV Plus app and keep it on 10TV, 10TV Plus, and 97.1 The Fan. No one does it better than us. We'll see you in a little bit.